Prostagma everyone, welcome to the age of myths, gods and absolutely great RTS gaming. Age of Mythology Retold just released in early access for people who have the premium, but after the disappointment that are Stormgate and Rattenreich, is it good enough? Well, let's check it out. Really quickly, if you're not subscribed yet, click the subscribe button to join the Goblin Tribe, and if you are, thank you very much for that. Now, what is Age of Mythology Retold? Well, it is a total rework of a very old game. The game I used to play actually when I was still young and had a future, and I have to say this rework is really good. Finally, we have something that it's not a disappointment in our RTS world, which we kind of deserve a game like this. We've been waiting for a long time for something like this to come along. Now, this is made in old Age of Empires free engine, but the visuals are great. I don't have the graphics on full, so I have a little bit more visibility, but the graphics are really nice. If you zoom in, you can see units and monsters especially have a lot of details. And I say graphically, the game is really good, but you want to play single player, because most of RTS people want to play single player. They don't want 1v1, they don't want to be pros at the game. How is it for the single player experience? Well, you have the campaigns from the original. You don't have the Chinese one because that is being reworked, and the Chinese faction will be added in a future DLC, and I imagine their campaign will come along with that. That being said, you have a lot of options. You can go into the original campaigns. Arkantos is there, Athena is there, and what they did was they called back the actor, the voice actor for Arkantos, and he re-recorded his lines. That came after a little bit of backlash with the new voice actor, which wasn't as good, and I like it. I like that they brought back the old dude, and the voice acting in general is okay, is not at the level of the original, but it does do the game justice, so it is good enough. Next up, of course, we have the music, always good in Age of Mythology, and the gameplay itself. Of course, it's great, you age up, but still on the topic of single player, of course, you have the skirmish, and you can try all of the factions out. Now, which factions do we have here? Of course, we have the Greeks, Norse, Atlanteans, and Egyptians. And each of those, except for the Norse, has 3 major gods, and Norse, if you pre-ordered, if you have the early access, you also have 1 more god, so they have 4. You have Freyr, which is actually really nice. Of course, each faction differs a little bit in how they play. For example, the Greeks are the most vanilla faction. They have villagers with no special bonuses like Atlanteans do. They have to construct their storage buildings in order to be the most effective. For example, you build the storage near the forest or near the gold mine. Otherwise, you're not being effective with the resources. On the other hand, Atlanteans, they don't need anything, and one of their villager is worth 2 of the other faction, but they are of course more expensive, and you will have less of them, which means you will be much more open to raids. And if your villagers get killed while you have less of them, well, that is a bad thing to be in, and it can lose you the game. So every faction differs a little bit. As I said, you have major gods, you pick your major god, and as you age up all the way to age 4, you get a choice of a minor god, and all of them have different powers. So you'll have to decide what you want. Do you want perhaps Athena with their restoration, or do you want Hermes, who can stop fighting for 30 seconds? So let's say you're in a bad spot, you're just building your army, and the enemy is at your door. You just cast white doves and everything is great for 30 seconds. So there is a lot of decisions to be made in the game. It's not easy, not at all, and you will have to make decisions on the fly, but it's not something like StarCraft 2 when you look away for half a second and everything is gone. It's not like that. You will have a chance to come back. Let's say you're behind, you always have a chance to come back, and the thing that makes it so is the god powers, and if you choose them correctly, you can come back from a situation that is not good at all. So don't give up. If it seems like you're losing, don't give up. Maybe there is still a chance. I will link a video in the description from one of the best players of Age of Mythology ever, I Am Magic, and he has a nice video out of how to strategize even in the most desperate situations. So check that out. And that ties very well with the multiplayer, which if you have ladder anxiety, don't worry about it, because you have so many options here that you can decide to do whatever. You don't have to go on the ladder. You can play with your friends. You can play up with 12 players, so you can have teams 6 versus 6, you can have 9 versus 3 if you want, you can have 1 versus 11 if you decide to do so, or maybe it's a free for all and you can do that. So in the multiplayer you have many more options than in something like Stormgate, which, yes, I know they're saying they are in the early development, but they have a fully functioning store, so I'm taking it at the face value as it is. Then if you have a store, I'm taking it as you are a serious game. But this one, it has everything you want to. You don't have to play ranked, you can play with your friends and just go all out with the god powers. You can even decide to let someone go to H5, which does exist, and the H5 is when you build a wonder. So then your god powers cost 75% less, and they have 75% less time to activate, and you can build Titan gates every 10 minutes. So if you decide to go this way, you can go 11 versus 1, but let him build everything he needs to, and then try to destroy his Titan or Titans, because every 10 minutes you can build your Titan gate, which means technically you can have more than one, and then the other team can come and try to destroy it if they wish so. But if you want to play at the highest level, of course you will have to go 1v1 ranked. Now, it is a pretty popular mode, and if you want to, you can also enroll in an open tournament called the Red Bull Wololo, which has $10,000 main prize. So if you feel like you can challenge someone like I Am Magic, Demista or Matreus, you know what? Go for it. There's still quite some time for the qualifiers, and you know what? Just jump right in. As I said in my previous video, if you have the 1v1 ladder anxiety, just take it as a game. Don't take it as something serious, even if it's 1v1 ranked. Listen, in the end, it's just a game. You don't need to have anxiety. You don't need to feel, oh my god, I will lose, then what will happen? Nothing will happen. You will just lose, and you will get better for it. You will look at your replay, see where you went wrong, look at some YouTube videos, and then you will become better at the game. So don't be afraid of 1v1, but if you don't want to play it, there is so many other options and so many modes to play from. For example, you have Lightning, you have Deathmatch, and then you have Standard, which you can play as online with your friends or alone. You can create your lobby, you know, play with someone else. So there is a lot of modes, even for single player people who don't want to go on 1v1 ladder. But let's say you finished everything, you don't want to play skirmish anymore against the AI, you have a lot of options to enjoy the game even in multiplayer that you otherwise wouldn't, because the options just aren't there, and in this game they are. So what is my final thoughts on Age of Mythology Retold? Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Or maybe somewhere in between? It totally is. The gameplay is great. The game plays extremely well, and all of the quality of life improvements really show here. Now, I know some people will be like, oh, but the villagers are auto-queued on rank. Yes, they are. So what? It doesn't take away from your skill. And if you're more skilled than your opponent, then this auto-queue, it will not bring any advantage to the other player. If you're better than they are, you will beat them. That's just how it is. It's a lot of tactics and strategies matter here, and the auto queue for the villagers really doesn't. The military isn't auto queue online in ranked, but it can be in the modes that you set up, so there's that. All in all, Age of Mythology Retold is worth every penny you spend on, and I think the game will be supported long time in the future too, and we will have tournaments and DLCs and new gods, hopefully some new pantheons too. So if you like RTS games, Age of Mythology Retold is the right game for you right now. So these were my impressions of Age of Mythology Retold, my first impressions or review, however you may call it. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe. Here's some more videos to check out, and if you like the video, of course, comment down below too about Age of Mythology or any other game you want to. Until next time, Goblin out. Bye.